Hey guys, this is a retake of the video I did, Dear Atheist, Stop with This Foolishness. The last video was muffled. This video it's during the day so I can be louder, and so I can make sure it's not muffled. Just so you guys know, for my video quality, it's gonna get better. Next month, I'm gonna buy a webcam, and it's gonna have a microphone on it, so my video quality is gonna get better. So next month, starting next month, you won't have to worry about poor video quality, because my quality of video is gonna get better. So so 3 points. If you're an atheist, stop with the argument that you guys use, oh, I can't see him unless he's not true. When there's a bunch of things, here's the logical thing you have to worry about here. Here's the logic. Here's the thing you have to worry about here, guys. Is that if you say I can't see him because thus he isn't real, you have to first examine the criteria of his existence. If the criteria of his existence says you can see me, then if you can't see him, that's a logical basis to disqualify him. But if his logical existence and both the criteria of his existence say you can't see him, and why? Because he's spirit, because he's higher than physical, fleshly beings, and because he transcends matter and time, and so on. So he's not limited to the criteria of matter, time, and the laws of physics. So you can't use that against him. If the criteria of his existence doesn't mean that you can see him with your own eyes, then you, as an atheist, you cannot logically use as a basis the fact that I can't see God, thus he isn't real. We can't see love as let me tell what. We can't see oxygen or air all the time as a physical moving thing. We can't only see oxygen, but we know by its effects, it's real. We can't see many molecules and so on unless we are under a microscope. But we trust the scientists that could be lying to us to say it's real. So the basis is a lot of things we can't physically see as well, but we trust it's real based on outside source. So the logical thing is an argument from silence, and it's not a logical basis to say, well, I can't see him unless he isn't real. Also, I want to plead with you atheists that like to make the argument, against the morality of God, or any morality found in the New and Old Testament. I'm not pleading that you stop asking questions, because I can answer your questions on why this is it, why this is that, why you did this and all that. I can answer your question. I'm not making a plea for you to stop asking questions. In fact, you can ask questions on this live stream if you're watching this. I'm making a plea with you for logic and consistency. So, to understand this, if the God of the Bible truly fits the criteria to be the Most High God, and if God is real, let's just go down to your level. If God is real, then his own nature defines what's good and evil. So anything he puts in a writing for his disciples to teach or to spread, to be done or to practice, that would come from his own nature through his spirit to influence man, would automatically be good without any room for objection, because his very nature defines what is good and what is evil. So you cannot make an argument, you cannot critique his morality logically, because the creation doesn't define for the creator what is good and evil. So a plea for consistency and logic is you do not use the morality argument anymore. We already covered another argument you are not to use if you want to be logic and consistent. The argument that we can't see him. Don't use that argument at all. So thus he's not real. That's not a logical argument. And number 4, this will basically cover any of your argumentations that you cannot use logically. And if you think I'm wrong, then you can come in here and you can bring to my position. Again, I'm using philosophy, and if you want to argue that you have a basis, that you want to make an objection to my case, then you can. You cannot make, based on your own worldview, any argument, though I'm willing to debate with you evidence for God, evidence for the New Testament, and so on, but you logically cannot make a case to critique evidence, because in the worldview of an atheist, you have no basis for morality and absolute truth. I've been told this by more than one atheist admitted this. That yeah, I can't really know anything. Yeah, I didn't claim there's no absolute truth, so don't critique that. Basically what was said to me. So those atheists that actually would be honest and admit to me, you cannot have absolute truth, because they actually know the philosophy. They actually are aware of the worldview. They're not going to be foolish and deny it. So you don't have the foundation to critique evidence or to demand evidence. You can't even prove to me you exist or prove to yourself you exist. If using the logic you use for God. How do I mean many New Age atheists can say, well, it could be a conspiracy. Well, people could have made these instances of Jesus up and all that. Well, how do you know that how do you know that you're not in a matrix and your whole existence is just a mockery of mankind by aliens? I mean, we can go that route. So the logical arguments you use are inconsistent with what you're willing to use for your own worldview. Again, this is not a plead. And how do I know you can't really know anything? Your chemicals. According to your worldview, you're a naturalistic biological product. Philosophers know that they cannot produce truth. Degrassi said, "The only thing I know is I can't know anything." An atheist will admit, "Yeah, I can't really know anything." So I want you to admit. I want you to stop critiquing any evidence. Now I'm willing to not disqualifying the fact I'm willing to debate with you. I'm willing to talk with you, and you can present your case. But as in your private videos, stop critiquing evidence because you don't have the foundation to do it. If you want to be an atheist, live like an atheist. If you want to be a deist, live like a deist. If I want to say I'm a Christian, should I live like a Christian? It's hypocrisy. This is utter hypocrisy. The fact, if you are a naturalist atheist, you should live like one in every sense of the term. I mean, don't act like or feel like there's absolute morality unless you're willing to say there's a God, because you're living in God's world and you're stealing from God's world to kind of hold up the truth that you know by your own conscience and your own worldview that cannot hold those truths. So if you want to be an atheist, live like one. If not, then stop saying there's no God. Let's stop being an atheist. And if you're going to say, well, atheism is just a lack of belief in God. No, atheos, means to be against God. Kind of ironic, isn't it? It either would denote being anti-God, being a deist, or being a heathen. And it's atheos. It's a in the Greek without, and theist, which is God. So don't play. Who makes them the definitions of words? Do you? Can we play a game of words around and talk in a secular conversation and just make our own words up? Who makes the definition of the words? I've had more than one person tell me it's at least I can say it's a good basis of the way we can know an actual meaning of the word is by the word origin. So you can say you have a lack of belief in God. You're a liar. If you want to deny God, listen. People that deny God hold on to an evolutionary worldview. And the very evolutionary naturalistic worldview cannot also be a foundation for absolute truth and morality, so you have to live like it. Don't make claims. Don't make truth claims. Don't make this is true, that is true, this is false. You cannot hold it. Be consistent. I'm saying I'm a Christian. I have a testimony. I'm not just a religious Christian that was raised this way, but I had a radical transformation by God, even to the point that I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy when I was a kid. 4 years ago, I couldn't really walk a block. I would cross the middle of the street. And then once after being born again in December 2015, I was walking, running, saying without pain, and so on. There has been a transformation with that. And I had scoliosis, back pain, it's gone. Basically, I would say basically gone. So I have a testimony. And that's not just all of it. So I say I'm a Christian, I'm going to live like a Christian. You say you're an atheist, live like an atheist. Don't be a hypocrite. You guys, a lot of you guys critique so-called Christians for being hypocrites, but yet, in your own practice of your lifestyle, you are a hypocrite. You're a walking contradiction. So don't be that. And if you have any objections to what I'm saying right now, come on here. I see those viewers that have left this video. If you disagree with me, come on here and prove I'm wrong. See, I'm not hiding for nobody. See, I'm not hiding for any atheists that think I'm talking foolishness and think that you have a basis for morality, you have a basis for truth, you have a basis to critique things. Come on. You make a morality argument, you're going to have to make it both scientifically and philosophically, and you're going to have to prove it. When I have a solid foundation philosophically that you have no absolute morality. If you say, prove to me God exists, prove to me you exist, I can give the same extreme skeptical worldview and critique whether you even exist and ask you questions. How do I know you're not? How do I know that we're not in the matrix? How do I know? You have to prove to me in the very believed existence you have, which is a physical existence or a physical, if not a matrix, that you exist. That's my challenge for you if you're an atheist. You want to say, prove to me God, prove to me you exist. Again, the very question is stupid because it's very skeptical. The people that are very skeptical about the existence of God is very a walking contradiction. I can be thinking of many things. Prove to me medicine is real. Prove to me it's not an inner placebo effect that since you were taught that medicine works, that when you either think it's going to work, it works, or when you don't think it works, it doesn't work. Prove to me it's not a placebo effect. Prove to me it's not a effect by doubt or by ignorance. Prove to me it's not some philosophical or let's say psychological effect in the processes of the body. Prove to me medicine actually works. You see, I can take your skeptical worldview you use on the Bible, you use on many things, and I can turn it against you, and you can see what happens to your very worldview. So I would not use any of these arguments unless you want to be shown as a hypocrite and be destroyed. And that's the basic point. Is that you're an atheist, you look like an atheist, you can't, in your own worldview, you cannot avoid my critique. So whether you don't use these argumentations or not, but when you come in contact with me, I will critique you like this. You won't have an answer to me. If you try to, I'll critique you again, and then you will see how of a hypocrite and how of a feeble foundation, how much you actually knows of the God. You see, you claim there's no God. If you claim I can't really know anything, I'll tell you this. If somebody would go up to you, a gangster, and they would go up to you on the south side of Chicago, and they put a gun in your head, and they're gonna or they put a gun to your foot and they shoot you in the foot, you're going to know it hurts. You may want to critique and be a skeptic to defend your worldview, but you're going to know that bullet in your foot hurts. And since you know that, that would refute atheism, because you can't really know anything in atheism. I can prove that. I prove that on this channel. I can prove that in debate. And so that means that atheism and agnosticism, solipsism, is false. So the belief, I can even do that with deism too, and many other beliefs in God. I can do the same critique and refute it the same way. So that means all this is wrong. Because in deism, you don't have a solid basis to verify the personality or the purpose of your God. So you don't know whether He gave you a position for truth and not just all a deceptive, confusing reality. So you can't know absolute truth either if you're a deist. And if I can prove you the absolute truth, absolute knowledge, it would defeat you too. Again, if a person goes and shoots you in the foot, you're gonna know it hurts. That would defeat your worldview. So deism, atheism, agnosticism, solipsism is refuted by just all this reality. The atheists like to pride themselves on science and logic, but when deep logic is actually presented to them and used against them, they cannot hold water. They're going to start running. Godless engineer, let's see if he takes my challenge in debating him. They can use fallacies, but they cannot use deep thought because it would refute them. Not saying that. So, any objections? Any atheist that wants to object to what I'm saying? Any atheist that wants to comment, come on here and present a case for absolute knowledge or absolute truth. I'm gonna go take my dog out. Give me 5 minutes, and I'm gonna open the room up. If any, so hold on. I'm back, guys. Back in the room. I'm gonna open the room up. And just know, it's naturalistic. And you know, I don't have to go to evidence of evolution, even though I can refute it with philosophy. and prove to you that you're a philosophy, and prove to you it's just an assertion that's begging the question, you're trying to present your evidence of evolution, it's actually a philosophical fallacy, evidence of evolution. Let me show that to you, you're trying to present it to me. But I'm going to go on the assertion, if natural evolution is true, there would be no actual morality. So I don't have to go into your evidence, I would have to just go into philosophical principles, show you there's absolute truth and absolute morality, and when I do that, the very evidence you try to present to me for evolution is disqualified. Even though in the same way, so I'm not trying to do a cop-out, so people don't say I'm just did a cop-out, I'll answer your supposed evolution. And guess what? I won't answer it using Ken Hovind, I'll answer it using philosophy. So to show that the evidence is an assertion, it's beginning to begin the question. So I'm not going to cop out. Come on. I'm going to open the room up. Any atheist wants to come in and wants to object. And if you think you can prove evolution, come on in. You're going to have to... if you're an atheist, I want you to prove your basis for reasoning, your basis for presenting truth claims like that. Say we evolved. The room is on the topic of atheism, so anybody wants to come in? I want to specifically talk to an atheist. And if I don't get to talk to an atheist right now, I want to let you know, if you want this video and you want to make an objection to me, you want to come on and you want to prove to me, or prove in front of my whole channel that nothing that I'm just a, what you call a religious Christian, the floor is open. But you won't prove anything. You just, I don't want to get prideful about it. Just the floor is open. Anybody that watches this channel in the future, I would go live as soon as possible once you want to comment and then say, I object, and we will have a discussion. And it depends on Lewis's worldview. I can do the same critique with his worldview. He seems pretty skeptical. Aren't you, Lewis? I mean, you're all over the place. You believe in Allah. Here's my philosophical critique of Allah. Allah is known to be a deceptive God. It's known he even forgives somehow even having a sacrifice, a basis to actually do it. So he's an unjust God. So he's called the deceiver in Arabic, called the great deceiver. Much to the other translations dismay, that's called in Arabic. So he's a very deceptive God. People that have followed Muhammad have said that they're not even sure of their salvation because Allah could cast them to hell and they walk into paradise. And one step into paradise. So it's a very deceptive God. So that would mean that you don't have a strong basis for absolute truth or morality.
Shalom, everybody. This is Rabbi Lewis. Shalom, which means peace in ancient Hebrew. You can check my work out at lulu.com. Type in Rabbi Lewis. I'm a published author. I've written over 15 books. You can check my work out at lulu.com. Type my name in Rabbi Lewis. My YouTube channel is Great Millstone, Long Island. Go to check out my work.
So I'm going to point out philosophical flaws with the God of Islam.
Yeah, well, I want to say I give all praise due to Allah, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadan Rasulullah. I bear witness that there's no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger and final prophet. There's a hadith that said Allah said you had they said that in Jannah, which is a paradise, the people in Jannah could see the people in the hellfire. And one of the people that was in Jannah in the paradise said to Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, I recognize people in the hellfire that I used to live amongst, that I used to do zakir with, that I used to do qasul. I recognize him. And Allah told him, take him out of the hellfire and bring him up to Jannah. So Allah told one of his slaves to pick who you want out of the hellfire. So Allah is a merciful God. He's not a tyrannical God at all. He's very merciful. He told his slave to pick out whoever you want out of the hellfire and bring him up to Jannah, bring him up to paradise. So that's a logical fallacy that Allah is a God.
No, I'm saying according to the Arabic, he's in the verse of the Quran, not to the other translation, but the exact Arabic, to the Arabic lexicon, he's called the great deceiver. The Molech. He's called the Molech in Arabic. He's called the...
Well, you do know that the Bible God, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, the Tetragrammaton, was known as a great demon-like power. Right? They used to call him a great demon-like power. The word Shaddai means... Shad in Hebrew means demon. So El Shaddai means a great demon-like power. That's what they used to call the Tetragrammaton in the biblical narrative.
They said Jesus was working the powers of demons, so that's not surprising to me. And
the actual word El Shaddai actually means a great demon-like power, and that was a euphemism for the Bible, the Tetragrammaton. You agree with that?
Considering the cultures were very familiar with demonic power, and so if they see a great power, and they know demons are powerful, they would attribute it to that. But you're saying that El Shaddai actually is the name of God, so the whole name of God thing in the Old Testament is debatable. There's some scholars that we don't know. It's debatable, so we don't want to get in that debate.
Yeah. Well, I made in my book, Who is Satan?
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So have you been a Muslim in the closet all along, or are you just coming out you're coming out right now because it's been shown that you're a Muslim, or have you transitioned from the God of the Old Testament to the God of the Quran, which is the God said to be God of the Old Testament?
Yeah, I took my shahada. So which is my oath to God. Like I said, I know I do believe that I'm an Israelite. I am a Hebrew Israelite, but I uphold the Quran. I hold the Quran, as well as the Torah.
Has this been a recent event, or have you been in the closet with this for a time?
No, I just rededicated myself and did my shahada. I redid my shahada and rededicated myself to Islam. You gotta see the word Islam. All Islam means is submission to God. So you could be a Hebrew and be a Muslim. You could be a Muslim Hebrew. All it means is to be submissive to God. You could be a Christian. Well, I don't know if you could be a Christian, but the word Muslim just means to submit your will to God.
Well, I got this bigger discussion. You have to end. Allah is known in the Arabic. I'll use the Arabic lexicon as a great deceiver. Now you may say he's Muslim. What is his basis for mercy? And if you attack the God of the Old Testament, Allah says he's the God of the Old Testament. So you can't attack your own God.
No, I agree. In fact, the correct way to say El Shaddai in the Paleo Hebrew is Allah Shadja. Allah Shaja. El is Allah because there's no vowel points in the ancient Hebrew. That's called the Lashon Kodash, which was created by a man named Ariyah from the Hebrew Israelite camp in the 70s, in the 80s. He created a new language called Lashon Kodash, which is the ancient Paleo Hebrew. He fulfilled Zephaniah 3 and 9, where God said he would turn us to a pure language. That was the Lashon Kodash. So the actual Paleo Hebrew has no vowel points in it. So there's no letter E, there's no letter U, okay? There's no letter O, there's no vowel points. So El Shaddai will be pronounced Allah Shaja. So in fact, Allah is the God of the Bible as well. And I make that linguistic case in my book, Who is Satan in Historical Analysis. I make a linguistic case.
Let me respond to that. Now you may say Allah is the name of God, but the personality given of Allah in the Quran is not the same personality of the God of the Bible. And I have addressed the scripture you can use that God is deceptive. When he said, who has Jeremiah said, who has deceived us? If you take that in context, it's in reference of God sending people delusions or spirits of error, not him deceiving them himself. But Allah is known as a great deceiver, known to deceive you personally. So, if people that followed Muhammad would even doubt the salvation because Allah could just change his mind, then you don't have a good basis for absolute truth. How do you know that Allah didn't create this all? We're all in a matrix, and that we're all run by aliens. How do you know anything?
Make a case for that as well in my book, Who is Satan? And the first
You make a case. You make a case for your foundation of absolute truth.
right. If you study George Stone's work, George Stone was the first person to translate the Enuma Elish in the Epics of Gilgamesh. His name was George Stone. Then a guy named Zechariah Stitchin carried on his work. And according to Zechariah Stitchin, the first Anunnaki to come to Earth was a guy named Alalu. He was the first Anunnaki to come to Earth to mine gold. Because the Anunnaki created men to mine gold as slaves because they needed the gold to repair the atmosphere on the planet Nibiru. So they came from Nibiru to Earth to mine gold.
You're all over the place. You're a Muslim, you're a Hebrew Israelite,
No. Here's the point. Here's the focal point. Here's what I was trying to get at. Here's what I'm trying to get at. Alalu, you can make a linguistic case that Alalu is Allah. Because, Alalu and Allah is the same base word. His name is just Alalu with the on the end of it. So you can make the linguistic case that Allah is the Anunnaki Alalu. Because he was the first Anunnaki to come to Earth, according to Zechariah Stitchin's work and Sasha Lesson's work. And I'll stop there. I can say more, but I'll stop.
Where in the Quran does it say aliens exist?
Yeah, great. Okay, yeah. If I can respond to that, there's actually a hadith that said that Allah has created many worlds, and each one of those worlds think that Allah only created them. So the Quran actually supports aliens because it says, and I quote, Allah has created many worlds. Each one of those worlds believe that Allah only created them. So each one of the worlds that Allah created, they believe that Allah only created them. So there's your case is an Islamic case for aliens.
Well, I deny the Quran, and guess what? If you ever denied Islam, doesn't it say you committed the unforgivable sin? If you come out of Islam.
I never denounced Islam. I just picked up the Torah. I never said I'm not a Muslim. I never came out and said I'm not a Muslim. Because, like I said, Muslim just means to submit to the will of God.
You all listen. So now I have to attack the. So I can't make a case logically using my own consistency. Well, I could still. I could say we know there's a God by our own conscience, and we know that this God is not the God of the Bible by our own moral, by the own Old Testament to back it up and through moral convictions. But so I could do that. But I'm just gonna say to you that Allah's are the great deceiver, so you really can't know anything as well. And so honestly, if you don't know if Allah is actually deceiving you right now, if I'm actually telling you the truth and you're actually lying, you don't know if this whole thing is just a dream, because Allah is known as a great deceiver. He can deceive you all the time.
Okay, didn't God, the God of the Hebrews, harden Pharaoh's heart? Didn't Pharaoh was going to let the Israelites go, and then the God of the Hebrews hardened his heart, meaning he turned them away from letting us go.
No, that's not deceitful. That's just that. That's like there's wickedness in your heart, so God turns you over to it instead of letting
No,
you.
there was no weakness. He was going to let us go. He was going to let the Israelites go, and then God hardened his heart.
That's not being deceitful. That's His sovereignty. The difference between God saying that I'm a great deceiver, thus you don't know how to turn you over to delusion any day. He wasn't like that. When he turned you over to delusion, there was a reason behind it. He didn't just. So when I see people saying,
Furthermore, we have to explain Genesis 20. Can we get Genesis 26:5 real quick? Because Abraham had. Can we go Genesis 26:5? Let me make sure I got it right. Hold on. Look at Genesis 26:5. Hold on.
if I refute Islam, I'm only making a good case where you're on the defensive now, because you wouldn't be able to defend real good that you have absolute truth, would you? Because the very concept of truth to me is deception by Allah. So how do you know anything? How do you know that Allah gave a book of lies called the Quran when we're supposed to trust the New Testament? And if you don't trust that, you go to hell. How do you know he didn't make a world of opposites? Where the Quran is evil. How do you know?
Genesis 26:5. Can you read that real quick?
You
Can you
know how
explain
I know
Genesis
this?
26?
Because my God is called the truth. My God is called the resurrection, the life. So since my God is the truth, that means he's not known. His name is not deceiver. His name is truth. Thus, my absolute truth can point back to my God, because he has revealed the concept of truth, and he's not known as being a deceptive God, but a truthful God. Thus, I can have a basis for absolute truth. But can you? So you have to point to the.
And Jesus said unto them it was not given, the word was not given to them. He spoke to them in parables because the word was not given to them.
No, that's not being deceptive. That's just hiding it, hiding the truth. You know what? This deceit is different. I can hide. I can say half truth and not be deceitful. But if I tell you a lie, if I say for example, I say um go over here, you're gonna find a cow. If you go over there, you're gonna find a raccoon who's gonna eat you to shreds. Eat you to shreds. The difference between being deceitful or hiding truth from somebody, as in being the difference between lying to somebody, being a liar, being a plotter, being a schemer, and sending delusions and hiding the truth. Hiding the truth is not being deceitful. Because
That's not deceitful.
honestly, well, that's not deceitful. Because the people that he hid the truth from didn't want the truth, and he selected those to change their heart to receive the truth. He selected them. So
Can you explain Genesis? Can you explain Genesis 26:5, please, for us,
that's
please?
that's just giving you what you want.
Can
You
you
know the
explain
difference.
Genesis 26:5? Genesis 26:5. Could you explain this for us, please? Because there was no Torah, and because Abraham had the laws, and Abraham was before Moses. Moses gave us the Torah, so there was no Torah during the time of Abraham. So how's he keeping God's laws?
Because God's law is His spirit, is His commandments by His spirit.
Can we go to Genesis 26:5, and then if you can explain that.
Uh, Genesis 26, Genesis chapter 26. Chapter 25, verse 26. And after they came out, his brother.
Oh, Genesis 26:5.
Oh, most times, God is not deceitful. He just gives people over with delusions and lying spirits and hiding the truth to what they want. The people there they heard the truth from didn't want the God of the truth. They wanted the sin, they wanted the pride. So he just let them have what they want. Those are the people that he changed their heart so they do receive it. The difference between sovereignty and deception. God doesn't just seduce people with lies directly, but he gives people over to what they would rather prefer, what they rather hear, with the lion spirit, with the delusion. But Allah personally would change a man, would deceive Christians by changing Jesus into, like, having another man pose as Jesus and see Christians go to hell. And that was direct. Genesis 26, verse 5. Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge and my commandments, my laws, and my statutes. But because his
Hold on. So hold on. This is before the Torah, because the Torah didn't exist yet.
No, again, you have heard me say the Torah is not the law of God. He obeyed his commands because the commands are known by the voice of God and by the conscience of man. You don't gotta have a written.
Why did God reveal the Torah if there's no need for it? Why did he reveal the Torah in the first place?
Because it's a way to show if you try to live after him in the flesh, you're gonna live corruption and you're gonna fail. It's to show that mankind needs a savior. It's to show the knowledge of sin. That's why he did it.
So what law was Abraham keeping? Can you name some laws that he was keeping?
I mean, the laws of your conscience. Don't steal, don't murder, be loving, be kind, stuff like that. This is a basic that you can point out. Hey royalty. Hey royalty, are you an atheist? Are you somebody I know, or are you an atheist?
Can I respond to that real quick? What you just said?
So are you somebody, I'm responding to the person in the chat section. Are you somebody that I know, or are you an atheist? And what are you?
Can I respond to that, bro? I don't. Can I respond to that?
Oh, you're a Christian. That's good.
Respond to that, bro.
Okay, you can respond to it.
Give me Ecclesiasticus 25:7. Can you explain this for us? So we gotta love and be kind and all that stuff. Ecclesiasticus 25. It's in the apocrypha. Ecclesiasticus 25:7.
Oh, Ecclesiasticus. Your God's identity was known as the great deceiver. My God's identity is basis of love and truth. There's a difference. He can deceive people indirectly through sending them what they already want, or sending them, or giving them over to corruption because their heart is already corrupt. There's a difference between him directly deceiving you, directly lying to you. God cannot lie. Remember that God is not a man that he should lie, so he can't lie. He can't say this is true and this is not. But when it's not. But he can give you over to what you already want. He can indirectly send you a lie, but he can't lie himself. Your God, didn't he lie himself? That makes him an untrustworthy God. I'm dealing with you on a philosophical basis. And if we would go on an evidential basis, and I would ask you the archaeological evidence, we would weigh together the New Testament evidence for liability versus the Quran evidence for liability, you would lose it.
I
The
already told you. Allah told the slave. God told the slave, take who you want out of the hellfire. You because they can see in Jannah you can see the hellfire. People in the hellfire. God's the Arabic God. Allah told him, take who you want out of the hellfire and bring them up to paradise. He's a very merciful God.
one, what is God's basis from? What is Allah's basis for mercy? Let me give you an example. If God is just, He cannot be merciful unless He has a solid basis to be merciful. Allah, according to Islam, just wipes under the rug. He doesn't have a sacrifice or ability to be merciful. So the very action of mercy is unjust by Allah. Everybody deserves to be damned.
Well, there's five pillars.
You have to have a basis.
There's a basis. It's called the five pillars of Islam. There's five pillars. Okay, the first pillar is Shahada, which means faith, right? Salah is prayer. Zakat is charity. Psalm is fasting, and then Hajj is the great pilgrimage, which you must make to Mecca once in your lifetime.
Wait. But have Muslims sinned in the past? I know masturbation is an abomination according to Islam.
It's called zina. Zina is the Arabic word that just means sexual immorality. It's called zina.
Well, that's good. I mean, I can use that. But so, have Muslims sinned in the past? That's the question. Have they transgressed Allah in the past?
What do you mean?
Have you sinned against Allah, Lewis?
You do know that Muhammad, his father name had Allah in it, right? And that was done in Jahiliyyah.
No, I'm addressing you. Don't. I know. I want you to notice he's. But let me go on. Let me go on. Have you sinned against Allah in the past?
Yeah.
So, no good work can clean that slate. If you go to a judge, and God's supposed to be much stricter, according to is the judge of all the earth. He's a supreme being. The idea of God being God is He's above human action. He's more righteous than they are. He's more just. He's more strict. He's more loving. That's the idea of God being God. If I can disprove that your God meets those criteria, He's not God, because He doesn't fit the idea of being a supreme being. So you sinned in the past. No good work. If you go to a judge and say, "Well, judge, I've sinned, but I've done all these good things," and he'll look at your record and he'll say, "I don't care. You're going to prison."
So what if I kill somebody, right? And I come to the judge and say, I'm covered by the blood of Jesus. Is that going to get you out of the punishment?
No, but let's say there's a bail on you, right? You go to the judge and you say, I murdered somebody, and you got and the bail is and somebody has to be punished for it, and somebody goes up and says, "Hey, I'll take his punishment. I'll pay his bail. Here's the money. I'll take his sentence." Then the judge, now having a bail, can justly let you go. But Allah doesn't have a basis judicially to let anybody go. So that makes him not God, because he's not a supreme being. He's not above the law of justice. That would disqualify him as a true God. So then he's a demon God. He's false. I love
Ecclesiastes 25:7. Can you read that real quick?
you read it, because, if you want to pull it up and read it, then I'll answer it, please. You keep going to all these scriptures, and you've seen I've answered them, but you honestly can't respond to this because it's.
Ecclesiastes 25:7. It says, There be 9 things which I have judged in my heart to be happy. In the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that has joined his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. So the Sirach 25:7 says, one of the greatest things that I can never see is to see the fall of my enemy. So you're supposed to love your enemy or hate your enemy.
But then God reveals, because the basis of His forgiveness and mercy, that we're supposed to love our enemies through Christ. But Muhammad says, to
No,
kill.
that was in the Apocrypha, not in the Quran. It says,
I know. I responded, but Muhammad is known of war. Jesus was known by love, miracles. When has Muhammad done a miracle?
Jesus said to sell your cloak and buy a sword. Jesus told his disciples to sell their cloak and buy a sword if you don't have one.
He's not known as violence. That's self-defense. And notice, when Peter struck the soldier's ear, which is historically reliable, I can make a case for that. I already have it in the New Testament. But he, instead of saying, yeah, he went and healed his ear. So again, self-defense is the difference between making war or being ready for war. God in the Old Testament is called a God of war because he's ready, because he's able to war, because he would win the war. Not like his whole purpose is to war, but that he's a God ready for war. He's a God that will win the war if it comes his way. But he's not a God intent to causing war. But Allah is known as the moon god, and known as Allah Mehuzim, which is the demon god of war. Of war. So he's a god of war. So Allah is known as a pagan entity. You can point this out in the Encyclopedia of Religion, and you can point this out that he's a pagan entity. He's not the true God. I know, guys, this has turned from addressing atheists to now addressing Islam, but this is good. This is good. Muhammad said to kill your infidels. Jesus said to love your enemies. And he healed somebody's ear that got struck off. So total opposite. Islam. Let me give you a testimony. I know a former gang member. I know somebody that is now a former Muslim that saw the Quran, that saw what the Quran said, and saw that saw the testimony, that saw the testimony, and that saw the fruit of David in the Quran, that saw that there's a difference between Islam, that saw the hypocrisy in Islam, and in the faultiness in Islam, and saw the supernatural fruit and power of Christianity. And he converted. You're lacking. Let's see. Let's see who can love more than you can. And I can't love more than you can because I just am self-righteous, but I have the Spirit of God in me. Islam is full of hypocrites. There's like no power. And when Muslims claim to cast out demons, all they do is get a person manifesting, and the demon goes back down. Where was any evidence of exit? So they are doing witchcraft. That's witchcraft. They're using demonic power to try to cast out a demon. Where's your power? Where's your fruit? You seeing a foreign Muslim, a Muslim that's seeing the difference, that's seeing the hypocrisy, and saw our fruit versus what he saw by Muslims. And then he converted. Why? Why? Is it because he knew we had the truth? And then after, and then turned out he converted. He'd been like a closet Christian for a while, and then he confessed Christ. Not because that he was raised in it. He had a really wicked past. But that he saw the fruit. Saw the fruit. He saw the genuineness. He saw the non-hypocrisy. Have I been a hypocrite in the past? Am I ever not double-minded? I can be a hypocrite at times. But if you examine my life and you examine the life of my brethren, you're going to see there's a difference. I say not to sin. You go and hang out with me in private, you'll see. You'll see. You go to a mall with me in front of women, watch how my eyes go. Watch my eyes. Watch them. So you see the difference between me and a hypocritical professing Christian that walks in sin. You can't deny the fruit. Lewis, if you came hanging out, I'd offer you. If you come and hang, I'm gonna Johnson. I would pay you a plane ticket. You come and hang out with us, I will show you the fruit of Christ. I'll buy you dinner, and I'll show you that you cannot, and I'll show you the fruit, and you'll see power. We'll try to take out street healing, and see how much you can deny it. I'll pay you a plane ticket. When are you gonna admit it? When are you gonna admit that I have the truth? Do you? And watch this. Lewis, having no reply, just dropped out. And it's hard. I mean, he knows it. He's aware of the fruit. Lewis, if you're still watching, how about you go seek God and start denying it? Denying the truth. You know my fruit is abundant. Oh, you see my fruit. Go watch my debate with the Hindu, and go see the patience that the Spirit producing in me in that debate. Give me a second. So Willis, make your response. I know a person that was a gang member that had a wicked past. That when we went to see this former gang member, and the former gang member witnessed to him, he confessed first. You can only deny when you're in front of, by the grace of God, when you're in front of true Christians like us, walking in power, you can only deny the truth for so long. You could, I have seen people, my mother, denying the truth. But it's just a simple fact. So what else do we say? I would talk to Lewis in private. I love you guys. Just know, if you made it this far as an atheist, the floor is still open. I will, if you have any objection to what I've said, then we can talk. Be blessed, guys. I love you guys in the name of Jesus Christ.